There are some of the largest fires burning in California, in Oregon, in Washington, in Colorado. The West is on fire.
The death toll increasing as about 100 major wildfires burn in the West. The governor describes the air quality as the worst in the world and warns of what she calls a mass fatality incident.
The Alameda fire destroyed homes and melted cars overnight. Fire officials say this wildfire season is unlike anything that state has seen in recent memory.
You know, sometimes when people watch this, they move very quickly to despair. But despair is really a defense mechanism against having to feel. If I say, well, it's all hopeless, there's nothing I can do, nothing matters, it's all gone to hell in a handbasket, as my grandmother would say. um, right? We end up in this spot where um, we don't have to feel the sadness or the anger or the scared. We sort of numb out to it because, hey, there's not there's nothing we can do. It's apocalyptic. It's the end of the world. It's all going to end anyway. Um, but I think what's really important for us is to be able to acknowledge what we feel, to be able to say, um, you know, when we watch the news, it makes us anxious, and anxiety has a way of speeding us up to try to get through it. So I'll put the news on, it'll make me anxious, and then I'll turn it off because I'm too anxious. I have to stop. Or I'll put the news on and it's making me anxious. So I have to find some way to think about something else now, right? Uh, the anxiety says I have to get away from what's happening quickly because I don't like feeling this way. What if we slowed down? What if we pressed pause on the news instead of stop on the news, right? And we slowed down and we took a few deep breaths and we go back to the fires and we just thought about how sad we were to see the loss of these places that we loved. There are campgrounds very close to where I live that aren't that don't exist anymore. Um, and we felt for the people. We just felt the grief for the folks that have lost their homes with them. Um, we just allowed ourselves to be angry that this had been allowed to build to this point in the first place. We allowed ourselves to feel scared that maybe we're next, and maybe the fire's coming for us in our house next. And we just allowed ourselves to have this feeling. And we didn't try to get away from it. We didn't move away from it. And we just said, it's okay to be sad. It's okay to be scared. It's okay to be angry. This is what humans feel. This is what we do. This is what happens when we see these things. It's okay to have these feelings. It's a part of who we are. It's a part of what we experience as people. It's all right. And then we didn't have to move away from them with any sort of immediacy. And we could just stay with it a little bit and just care for ourselves and bring our empathy to ourselves in how we're feeling. And then we could breathe and ground ourselves and become perhaps a little more mindful of where we are and what we're feeling and what's happening. And then from that more grounded place, right? Then we can start to say, perhaps, what might I want to do? But it's very different to come to the question of what might I want to do from a place of being grounded than to feel panicked or highly anxious and have to fix it right away from a place of anxiety. Right? Then you're sort of stuck because you can't fix it right away. So we ground, we breathe, we feel, and then we say, okay, um, now what? Right? It's an important question, but when asked from a place of being grounded, it has a very different energy than the urgent need to act out of the anxiety. It breaks the polarity of all or nothing, and it recognizes that there's a world in between. And if we can act from somewhere in between, we can take steps that slowly create change. We can't solve it all today. I can't put out the fires in 5 minutes. Neither can you. neither can the firefighters of the world. We don't have a way to do that. We have to live with what's happening, um, and feel all of what that means, and learn to be okay with what we're feeling and what's happening. And then we make choices that incrementally allow and support change to make things better. The news has people feel like they're alone in what they're experiencing all the time. Telling somebody you're with them makes a big difference. So again, we imagine big acts, but when we ground, then we can start to go through our day and just know what the small acts are, and just very naturally and organically take those, versus imagining that we have to, we have the underlying revving anxiety behind us, but we feel powerless to do anything. And all of a sudden, we just find ourselves taking what we would call right action, right? Action that comes from just honoring ourselves and the other person. And it just unfolds. And suddenly the whole day is different than it would have been otherwise. And that could be the gift of the news.